the longest time, we've always had biological storage in the form of memories. In saying this, the famous Greek philosopher Aeschylus said that memory is the mother of wisdom. But what happens when these memories begin to fade, just as we develop dementia? For dementia is decline in cognitive functions in order to perform daily activities and is attributed to degeneration of the brain and synonymous with old age. However, dementia isn't technically a disease, so much that it is a small onset of symptoms that describe a much larger issue at hand. With 44 million cases worldwide, it is Alzheimer's disease that accounts for 40 to 80% of all cases of dementia, and that number is likely to grow. With little progress being made, Alzheimer's disease has proven to be an unstoppable force. For contrast, let's begin with normal physiology of the brain. Now, the brain is the most complex organ of the human body, one that processes your thoughts and integrates them into actions, ultimately defining you. Now, we know that the brain is housed in this bone protective fortress called the skull. More specifically, it's housed in this cavity called the cranial cavity as shown in the diagram towards your left. Now, the brain doesn't sit so much it swims in a serous fluid called the cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This is secreted by the ependymal cells of your choroid plexus, located here in the midbrain. Now, its function is to provide a buoyant medium so that the brain doesn't collapse under its own weight. It provides a degree of shock absorbance against mechanical stress, and also provide the optimal environment for neural performance. For purposes of the speech, we will now shift to the cerebrum, which is the largest portion of the brain, and provides key roles in abstract thinking, language, and awareness. So as we look at this coronal section here, tearing away the cerebrum, we see that there's two distinct layers. You have your grey matter containing your cell bodies, and beneath it is the white matter containing your myelinated axons. And as we look at the anatomical structure of your neurons, we can see that it's a detailed and intricate structure. Here we have your cell body, and beneath it right here is the axon hillock. This is important because this is where it generates your nervous impulse or your action potential. It will travel down to the axon. See, at the axon, it's being wrapped by this lipid membrane called the myelin sheath. Now, the myelin sheath's function is to increase the conduction and the velocity of your nervous impulse. So as it travels down to the terminal branches of your axons, it will secrete chemical messengers in the form of neurotransmitters to propagate that signal and then ultimately provide a response. So for the principle behind memories, it's not necessarily that you're gaining new neurons, rather you're actually enhancing the connections and interrelationships between consequential neurons. So as you learn a new skill or you're memorizing something new, you're actually enhancing, stabilizing, and strengthening the bonds between rehearsed firings of these neurons. So this is highlighted in this animation here. The color is fairly faint, but as you rehearse the connections, it becomes more stabilized and strengthened. This results into a memory, an easy recall of information. As for Alzheimer's disease, it's a neurodegenerative disease, meaning that it breaks down these axons or these neurons. In fact, it actually leads to that characteristic decline of cognitive functions. Now, its symptoms are often characterized as a decrease in motor functions and also loss of short-term and long-term memory. In fact, in later stages, it's proven to be fatal. Now, Alzheimer's disease is not completely known. However, there are two abnormalities that are cited in its progression: the formation of plaques and tangles. Let's begin with plaques. So in chromosome 21, here lie the genetic instructions for a protein called amyloid precursor protein, or APP. Obviously, being a protein, it will be degraded and recycled over time. It is actually located in the cell membrane of your neurons. So as we look in greater detail in this animation, you'll see that this is normally an alpha secretase, which is an enzyme, will cleave APP to yield SAPP alpha. Abnormally, in Alzheimer's, beta secretase will cleave a bit higher up to yield SAPP beta. Now, a second enzyme will come in called gamma secretase. So if SAPP acted first, it will yield P3. Now, if it's beta secretase that acted, it will be beta amyloid. So in Alzheimer's, we know that beta amyloid is actually forming these aggregates, and they clump together because they're chemically sticky. and now they actually interrupt the cell-to-cell junctions of the neurons, so therefore preventing that cell-to-cell neuron signaling. Also, it blocks the blood vessels of your brain, resulting into more prone of hemorrhage. As for tangles of that secondary abnormality, we see that this is the microtubules of your axons. These proteins are your tau proteins, which help stabilize the structure, and they help being a delivery network for your nutrients. Now, in Alzheimer's disease, they actually become more chemically sticky, and they form aggregates and clumps, forming tangles, which help block and destabilize the structure of your neurons, leading to degradation and loss of cognitive function. Now, we're going to progress onto the media. So how does the media portray Alzheimer's? In fact, in recent years, research has been stagnant, and it's being masked by much popular diseases in the media, such as cancer. And when we actually get information about new Alzheimer's news, in fact, it's fluff pieces, it's unsubstantiated, like drinking red wine may decline Parkinson's, and this is unsubstantiated, not backed up. These are just filler material. And when we actually look at the facts, we see that Alzheimer's and cancer yield the same amount or death toll per year, with only getting a tenth of the actual funding. My take-home message is that we need to support our caregivers, our patients of Alzheimer's, the sufferers, and the families. We need to support research in order to get a foot ahead against the combat of Alzheimer's. Thank you.